Have you ever been so terrified that your only instinct is to call for help? You dial those 3 numbers expecting safety. But what if that call brings no comfort, just indifference, delay, or silence? Tonight we explore 3 true stories where help never came. These aren't tales of monsters or myths, but real people left to face horror alone when the system failed them. So turn down the lights if you dare, as we dive into these chilling accounts. Tonight, we delve into the unsettling realm of the unknown, where the safety of our homes is threatened, and the line between reality and nightmare blurs. Our first story is about Sarah, a young woman living alone in a quiet suburb, a place where everyone knows their neighbor and the streets are usually safe. She enjoyed the peace and quiet, the feeling of security that came with living in such a serene environment. One night, as she tried to drift off to sleep, the silence of her room was shattered. As she lay there trying to clear her mind, a soft, deliberate tapping came from her bedroom window. It was a sound that didn't belong, a sound that instantly sent shivers down her spine. Frozen with fear, she listened. Tap, 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 each repetition echoing in the stillness of the night, amplifying her terror. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat a frantic drum against her ribs. Knowing it wasn't the wind, the tapping was too precise, too intentional to be a natural occurrence. It was something else, something sinister. She called 911, voice trembling, barely able to speak through the lump in her throat. She tried to explain what she was hearing, the fear that gripped her, but the dispatcher sounded bored. "It's probably just kids or the wind. We'll send a car if one's free." The dispatcher's words offered no reassurance, only a sense of dismissal. No urgency, no comfort, just a vague promise that did little to ease her growing panic. The seconds ticked by like hours as she waited, the tapping continuing its relentless rhythm. Alone, Sarah waited in terror, too afraid to look through the blinds, imagining what might be lurking on the other side. Every creak of the house, every rustle of leaves outside, sent a fresh wave of fear through her. When dawn finally came, painting the sky with the first light of day, it brought a small measure of relief, but the fear lingered. She found greasy smudges on the glass, evidence of someone's presence, a violation of her personal space, and a single boot print in the flower bed, a clear indication that someone had been standing there watching her. Proof someone had been watching her, invading her privacy, turning her safe haven into a prison of fear. She called the police again, her voice now laced with desperation, pleading for them to take her seriously. This time an officer came, took notes, listened to her story with a detached expression, but said there was little they could do. No crime, no suspect, no real evidence to pursue. "Get better curtains," he advised, as if thicker fabric could somehow erase the violation she felt. The sense of violation was overwhelming, her sanctuary was shattered, her sense of security irrevocably damaged. The police had dismissed her fear, and the intruder was never caught, leaving her to grapple with the aftermath of the terrifying encounter. Sarah installed alarms and thicker curtains, transforming her home into a fortress. But the fear lingered, a constant reminder of the night her peace was stolen. The real horror wasn't just the intruder, the physical presence outside her window. It was the realization that, in her moment of need, she was truly on her own, abandoned by the very system that was supposed to protect her. The memory of the dispatcher's dismissive tone haunted her, a constant echo of her vulnerability. She became wary, her trust in quiet nights forever broken, forever looking over her shoulder, wondering if the tapping would return. The window, once a source of light and connection to the outside world, became a symbol of vulnerability, a constant reminder of the night her sense of safety was shattered. The police visit brought no peace, no sense of closure, only frustration, and a deeper understanding of her own isolation. Just a chilling reminder that sometimes you must face the darkness alone, with no one to rely on but yourself. For Sarah, the scariest part was knowing help might never come, that she was ultimately responsible for her own safety and well-being, and that fear never left her, a constant companion in the quiet suburban home that was once her sanctuary. Mark, a long-haul trucker, knew the rhythm of the road like the back of his hand. Years spent crisscrossing the country had etched every mile marker, every roadside diner into his memory. He was used to the solitude, the endless black ribbon of highway stretching out before him, illuminated only by his headlights. But one night, on a particularly desolate stretch of road, something broke the monotony. He saw a figure standing by the shoulder, thumb outstretched, silhouetted against the inky sky. A hitchhiker. The man seemed ordinary enough, dressed in worn jeans and a simple jacket. He was quiet, almost withdrawn, explaining that he was just trying to get to the next truck stop a few towns over. As they drove, Mark, always one for conversation, tried to engage him, asking about his travels, his destination. But the hitchhiker's answers were vague, almost evasive. There was something about his presence that was unsettling, a subtle unease that began to creep into Mark's mind. The cab, usually a comfortable space, began to feel colder, the silence between them heavier than the cargo in the trailer behind. Mark's unease grew with each passing mile, a prickling sensation on the back of his neck. He tried to shake it off, attributing it to fatigue and the late hour, but the feeling persisted. He focused intently on the road ahead, eager to reach the brightly lit haven of the truck stop. Then, in a moment that defied logic, the passenger seat was empty. The man had vanished. No sound of a door opening, no rustling of clothes, no explanation. Just gone, as if he had never been there at all. The air hung thick with disbelief. Mark, heart pounding, slammed on the brakes, pulling the truck onto the shoulder of the road. He jumped out, grabbing his flashlight, and frantically searched the surrounding area. He scanned the ditch, the tree line, the dark expanse of the highway behind him, but found nothing. The hitchhiker was nowhere to be seen. Even the duffel bag the man had been carrying had disappeared. Shaken to his core, his mind reeling, he knew he couldn't continue driving. He cautiously got back into the truck and drove the remaining miles to the truck stop, his hands trembling on the wheel. As soon as he parked, he rushed inside and found a payphone, his voice tight with anxiety as he called the sheriff's department. The deputy who answered the call was polite, but skeptical. "A vanishing hitchhiker, you say? From a moving vehicle? Sir, with all due respect, people don't just disappear into thin air, especially not from moving trucks. Are you sure you weren't just seeing things? Maybe a little tired?" They took his report, filled with disbelief and thinly veiled amusement, but offered no real help, no promise of an investigation. Mark tried to explain the sheer impossibility of it all, the unsettling feeling he had experienced, but his words seemed to fall on deaf ears. He knew what he'd seen, what he'd experienced, but no one believed him. He made a point to avoid that stretch of highway from then on, forever haunted by the memory of the silent passenger and his inexplicable disappearance. The police, of course, dismissed his story as a product of fatigue, stress, or an overactive imagination. The case was filed away, another strange incident relegated to the dusty archives of unsolved mysteries. But Mark was left with a chilling certainty. He'd encountered something truly unexplainable, something that defied the laws of nature, and he was utterly alone with the knowledge. No one would ever believe him. No one would ever understand the unsettling truth of what he had witnessed. The real terror wasn't just the vanishing man himself, it was the profound isolation that followed, the crushing weight of disbelief from those he sought help from, the gnawing knowledge that some mysteries are simply too strange, too impossible for anyone else to comprehend. These are the burdens you bear alone, the secrets that carve deep furrows into your soul. On those long, empty roads, where the veil between worlds seems thin, sometimes the strangest company appears, and just as quickly, leaves without a trace. And the echo of that empty seat, the phantom weight of a passenger who never was, haunted Mark's every journey, a constant reminder of the night the impossible became real. The authorities offered no answers, no comfort, just a shrug and a closed case file, another unsolved mystery lost in the vastness of the American highway. Mark's story serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes the most frightening thing isn't the supernatural encounter itself, but being left alone with the impossible, knowing that help will never come, and that the truth, however bizarre, is yours to carry in silence. Alex lived in a busy city, a place teeming with life, a place where anonymity was both a blessing and a curse. He sought the energy of the crowds, the comfort of being surrounded, yet he never imagined that within this bustling metropolis, he would become the target of something so insidious, so personal. But his terror was invisible, a creeping sense of being watched, of his life subtly invaded. It started subtly, a nagging feeling at the back of his mind, a prickling sensation on his skin, as if unseen eyes were constantly fixed upon him. He dismissed it at first, attributing it to stress, to the pressures of city life. But the feeling persisted, growing stronger each day, morphing into a chilling certainty that he was not alone, that someone, somewhere, was watching him. Objects moved. The thermostat changed. He'd come home to find the temperature inexplicably altered, a few degrees higher or lower than he'd set it. It seemed insignificant, a minor inconvenience, but it fueled the growing unease within him. Was he losing his mind? Or was something truly amiss? A strange pen appeared. Friends dismissed his fears as stress, telling him he was working too hard, that he needed a vacation. They couldn't understand the subtle terror that was consuming him, the feeling of his reality being slowly, deliberately manipulated. The feeling of being followed grew, intensifying with each passing day. He'd quicken his pace, glance over his shoulder, but there was never anyone there, or at least no one he could identify as a threat. It was a ghost in the periphery, a shadow just out of sight, always present, always watching. He changed his locks, installed a camera, but the unease only deepened. The new locks offered a false sense of security, the camera a constant reminder of his vulnerability. He was turning his home into a fortress, but the enemy was already inside, in his head, under his skin. One day a dead flower appeared on his pillow, a single withered bloom, a symbol of decay and violation. It was a message, clear and unmistakable. He was being watched, his personal space invaded, his life no longer his own. The camera footage was missing an hour, a blank space in time, a void where his stalker had moved unseen, unheard. The technology he'd hoped would protect him had been turned against him, used to mock him, to amplify his fear. He called the police. They found no evidence, no forced entry, just advised him to be careful, to lock his doors, to try and relax. They saw a man consumed by paranoia, not a victim of a calculated campaign of terror. The gifts escalated, a child's toy, a glove, each a symbol of his vulnerability, each a carefully chosen piece in a macabre puzzle designed to break him. The police could do nothing. No proof, no suspect, just reports filed and forgotten. Another case lost in the bureaucratic machine. He was alone, utterly alone, with no one to turn to, no one who believed him. Alex's apartment became a prison, a gilded cage where he was both captive and warden. He barely slept, his life unraveling under the weight of unseen eyes, the constant dread a heavy blanket smothering his every thought. Then, one night, he heard a sound in the kitchen, a soft scraping, a subtle shift in the silence that had become his constant companion. He found all his knives laid out, a bitten apple beside them, a scene of domestic horror, a chilling tableau of implied violence. The stalker was gone, leaving only a chilling message, "I can get to you." Alex called the police, frantic. They found nothing, no sign of forced entry, no trace of the intruder, just a terrified man and a chilling message. He moved out the next day, leaving his life behind, abandoning his home, his job, his friends, all in a desperate attempt to escape the unseen tormentor. The stalker was never caught. The case remained open, unsolved, a testament to the limitations of the law in the face of such insidious, intangible terror. Alex's ordeal was psychological warfare, terror without a face, suffering without recognition, a slow, deliberate erosion of his sanity. The system couldn't protect him from a ghost, from an enemy who existed only in the shadows, in the spaces between reality. His story is a warning. Some horrors are invisible, and the help you need may never arrive, leaving you to face the darkness alone, the paranoia, the fear, the helplessness. These wounds run deeper than any physical threat, scarring the mind, poisoning the soul, leaving a mark that may never fade. For Alex, the true terror was the unseen enemy, and the silence of those meant to protect him, the indifference of a system that couldn't comprehend the depth of his suffering. Sometimes the scariest thing is knowing you're utterly alone, that no one can hear your screams, that no one will come to your rescue, and that's a fear no lock or law can erase, a darkness that lingers long after the stalker is gone. These stories aren't just about terror. They're about the chilling reality of being left alone when you need help most. The police, the system, couldn't protect Sarah, Mark, or Alex. Sometimes the safety net just isn't there. Have you ever felt your fears dismissed, your cries for help unanswered? Share your story in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you want more true accounts of the strange and dark, like and subscribe. Stay safe, and always trust your instincts.